Right, hi everyone. Today we're going to have a look at the nervous system. So last lesson we talked about homeostasis, and if you remember, we did a bit of an overview of all the key information that you needed to know about homeostasis. And one of those things, so if we have a look, we remember that responses are automatic and they involve nerves. So we're going to focus on nerves now. And the other thing is that we talked about control systems and the fact that they included receptors, which were cells that detect a stimulus. And we talked about a stimulus being something like a change in the environment, like light or temperature. We said that control systems always include the coordination center, which was like the brain or the spinal cord as an example, and those coordination centers received and processed info. And that control systems always included effectors, and those were normally muscles or glands, and they responded to the information from the coordination center, and they did something to restore optimum conditions. Okay, so what we're going to look at today is how does the nervous system play a part in all of this. So the purpose of the nervous system is basically to allow humans to react to their surroundings and to coordinate their behaviour. So to be able to look outside, see that it's snowing, and decide to put on a nice warm coat so that you don't die of hypothermia, for example. Okay, so we better get definition or purpose of the nervous system. So the nervous system enables humans, so we're talking specifically about the human nervous system, although to be fair this is the same pretty much for quite a lot of animals, to react to their surroundings and coordinate their behaviour. Okay, so that's the purpose of having a nervous system. And so what I just wanted to do is give you a little bit more information about this system, the control system, and how it might work, just as a diagram form, really. Okay, so we said control systems always start with a receptor. So a receptor, if we remember, receptors detect a stimulus. So a stimulus is a change in the environment. So for example, this might be a light receptor in the eye, which would detect the stimulus light. Or it may be a skin cell receptor that might detect temperature. Okay, so receptors are detecting a stimulus. So far that's the same for all control systems. But now we talk about the nervous system, it involves nerves or neurons, okay, and that's where the next bit comes in. Okay, now the other part that we talked about, because we need to think about all the different parts of the control system, the other part we thought about was this, by the way, because you probably can't tell, is going to be a person. That's the head and the neck. That person has a brain, and that person has, very badly drawn, person also has a spinal cord. Okay, so the person has a brain and they have a spinal cord, and that, remember we talked about before, was the coordinator. So the brain and spinal cord are examples of a coordinator. So we've got the receptor over here, receiving information in the form of a stimulus, detecting a stimulus. We've got a coordinator in the middle here, which is receiving information from the receptor and then doing stuff with it. Now, the brain and spinal cord are a coordinator. We call them together the central nervous system. because, or shortened to CNS, because nobody can be bothered to write that all the time. So the brain and spinal cord are your central nervous system. And just to kind of put that into perspective, the neurons, the nerve cells that come off of that and go to other places around your body, are called the peripheral nervous system. So you just need to know that the central nervous system, or CNS, is your brain and your spinal cord, and that's an example of a coordinator in your body. Okay, so how are they connected? Because somehow we need to get information from this receptor to the coordinator. That's by the use of a neuron. A neuron is a long cell. It's a very, very long, thin cell. It's one individual nerve cell. So people quite often talk about nerves as if they were just one of these. This is a nerve cell, also known as a neuron. A nerve itself is lots of those together, so be careful about that. Please just refer to these individual cells as neurons. So a receptor detects a stimulus. The neuron transmits that information to the central nervous system. The way it does that is with the help of, that's a bit of a lightning strike there, with the help of electrical impulses. So that's really hard to understand, but actually your nerve cells, your neurons, have actually got electrical currents running down them. Okay, it's really cool. If you get to A2 biology, you learn more about it. So receptor detects a stimulus. Information in the form of electrical impulses is passed down a neuron to the central nervous system, which is our coordinator. It then gets that information passed on to the effector, which we've already mentioned before is the part of the control system that carries out an effect. The way it gets that information from the central nervous system to the effector is again via a neuron. Okay, so another neuron carries information in the form of electrical impulses from the central nervous system to the effector. There were two types of effectors, if you remember. There were muscles and there were glands. Okay, so those are the two different types of effector you need to know about. What do they do? Well, a muscle would contract. So an example might be somebody throws a ball towards you and the muscles in your arms contract in order to catch the ball, because your central nervous system have said, move those muscles to catch that ball. Okay. The other example is a gland. Glands give out, and the posh word for give out is secrete, hormones. I mean, some glands give out other things as well, but for the purpose of this, it's hormones. So glands will give out hormones in response to information from your central nervous system. Okay, so make sure you've got these notes written down and then have a go at the other tasks and the quiz.